So let's begin this presentation. And as I was introduced, I am Nithyanand Prabhu, Department of Metallurgical Engineering and Material Science, and I also happen to be the faculty coordinator of the Student Mentor Program. And the presentation that I'm going to be making is on the Student Mentor Program here at IIT Bombay. So Student Mentor Program is a very good example of involving students in activities which promote institutional objectives. Now, I just want to list down a few institutional objectives. Mentoring new entrants into the various programs is an institutional objective. Mentoring academically weak students in the programs, in different programs, is an institutional objective. Mentoring students who have difficulty with medium of instruction, that language of instruction, English. So, mentoring them is an institutional objective. Providing teaching assistance in different courses is also an institutional objective. Encouraging extracurricular activities among students is another institutional objective. Helping students prepare for a career, placement and a career, is another institutional objective. And providing platform for students to interact and seek help in their professional growth is also another institutional objective. Now, of course, this is not an exhaustive list of institutional objectives, but it gives you an idea of the different institutional objectives. Now, most of you may be thinking that as it is in the institutions that you belong to, there is already a shortage of faculty members. Shortage of faculty members to teach different courses. And you may be wondering as to how you are going to achieve these institutional objectives in spite of a faculty crunch. Well, even at IIT Bombay, in some way, in some sort of a way, we are also short of faculty members. So the number of faculty members to students, the ratio of faculty members to students is about 1:15 here at IIT Bombay. And ideally, we should be having a ratio of 1:10. So in that sense, yes, there is a shortage of faculty members even at IIT Bombay. And what is it that we do? Well, we interact with the students, we collaborate with the students, and then involve the students in activities that promote institutional objectives. So therefore, the broad theme of this presentation is multiplying the faculty efforts through faculty-student collaboration. So therefore, you should look at this presentation in this context. The context is, how do you multiply the faculty efforts through faculty-student collaborations? So that is the theme of this presentation here. So Student Mentor Program, as I mentioned, is a faculty-student collaborative model developed here at IIT Bombay, and it aims to provide effective support system for the students in need. So effective support systems for the students in need. Now, if you look at the Student Mentor Program, the Student Mentor Program is about 15 to 16 years old. And how old is the institute? Our institute is 60 years old, and we are actually celebrating our Diamond Jubilee this year. So therefore, the question that naturally arises is that if Student Mentor Program is involved in effective student mentoring, in effective student support, then did we not have a support system prior to the Student Mentor Program? That's the question that will arise. Well, actually, we did have an effective support system even before the Student Mentor Program. And the support system was called the faculty host system. Now, in this faculty host system, every new entrant was assigned a faculty host. So much so that even before the student arrived on campus, the name of the faculty host was written in the admission letter. So therefore, before the student arrived on campus, he knew who exactly his faculty host is going to be. And on the very first day, that is on the day of the orientation, the students were asked, it was impressed upon the students that they should develop a rapport with their host family. So new entrants were encouraged to develop a close rapport with their host family, and this system was a real boon for the students because it provided them a ready home away from home. So this was the effective support system which was prevailing before the Student Mentor Program. But soon this particular system became unviable with increase in the number of students admitted into IIT Bombay. When the faculty host system was prevalent, we had something about 150 to 250 students, undergraduate students being admitted into IIT Bombay. And today we have close to 1,000 undergraduate students being admitted into the undergraduate program alone. And we have another 1,000 students getting admitted into the postgraduate program. So you see, we have a very large number of students getting admitted every year. And this faculty host system is simply not viable anymore. So what did we do? We collaborated with the students and built a system where some of the senior students, under the guidance of the faculty members, would help the new entrants to make this smooth transition to here life on campus. Okay, so this is going to be the broad outline of my presentation, and as Professor Gadre said, we will break at around 1:15, between 1:15 and 1:30, and then reassemble back and continue with this presentation. So the broad outline of the presentation is the following. First, we will see a quick background and evolution of the student mentor program here at IIT Bombay. Then we will see some aspects of student mentor program, especially the issues faced by the new entrants. We will also see what exactly is student mentor program, why this support system is required, what are the objectives of the student mentor program, and how the student mentor program team is organized, and how do we go about selecting the mentors and the overall coordinators, and what kind of interaction exists between the mentor coordinators and the mentees. And we'll also look at a few aspects of art and practice of mentoring, the training of the mentors, and a few remarks on student mentor program. And after that, again, we'll continue with some more examples of how we involve students in activities which promote the institutional objectives. Okay, coming to the background and evolution of the student mentor program. You see, our student mentor program began really as an informal arrangement. It did not start off as a student mentor program. It started off as an informal arrangement upon the suggestion of the then Dean of Student Affairs, Professor U.B. Desai, who is currently the Director of IIT Hyderabad. And this informal arrangement was put in place primarily to combat ragging in the year 2001. So primarily to combat ragging. Of course, today ragging has disappeared from the campus. But when it was prevalent, that this was the real purpose as to why we put together this informal arrangement. And soon this informal arrangement evolved into a full-fledged student mentor program under the guidance and leadership of Professor Vikram Gadre, who happened to be the first student mentor program coordinator of this program. Now, thanks also to many of the students who took on the leadership and mentoring roles in this student mentor program. In fact, I'm very happy to tell you that two of these students who actually led this program during the early years, they went on to do their higher studies abroad, and now they have come back and joined IIT Bombay as faculty members. And the two students who are now faculty members are Professor Ankur Kulkarni and Professor Jai Kishan Nair in the Department of Systems and Control and in the Department of Electrical Engineering. Right, now I'll give you the quick bird's view of what this student mentor program is all about. We have essentially several wings here. The first wing, Institute Student Mentor Program. Institute Student Mentor Program serves as a channel for constructive interaction between the freshmen, that is the new entrants into the undergraduate program, and the senior students. So that is what is ISMP, Institute Student Mentor Program, which is actually mentoring the new entrants into the undergraduate program. Then we have the Department Academic Mentorship Program, which aims to provide the academic mentorship for junior students in the undergraduate program. So students who are having difficulties in their academics in the undergraduate program, so Department Academic Mentorship Program is the one that aims to provide them some help. Then we have the Preparatory Mentorship Program, which is providing mentorship for the students in the preparatory program. Of course, now today we don't have the preparatory program because we have several IITs, and number of students in the preparatory program has dwindled, and the number of activities correspondingly has come down in the preparatory mentorship program. But however, these are the two programs which are essentially meant for the undergraduate students, that is the Institute Student Mentor Program for the first year students, and the Department Academic Mentorship Program, which is for the senior students in the undergraduate program. Now, as I mentioned to you, the evolution of ISMP, the evolution of DAMP is a little different. Department Academic Mentorship Program was born in the year 2006. It is almost 5 years younger to our Institute Student Mentor Program. And it was born in the Department of Electrical Engineering under the able guidance and leadership of Professor H. Narayanan. In fact, a few students in the Department of Electrical Engineering who were facing academic difficulties and were on the verge of being terminated approached Professor Narayanan in the year 2006 and sought his help. Professor Narayanan took them under his wings, and soon he was able to guide them out of their difficulties. And soon this word spread, and students from other departments also approached Professor Narayanan and sought his help. And Professor Narayanan then enlisted the help of some senior students in other departments, and with the help of other senior students, he was able to guide these students out of their difficulties. So this is how the Department Academic Mentorship Program was born in the Department of Electrical Engineering in the year 2006. Of course, the DAMP or Department Academic Mentorship Program has affected quite a few success stories. Success stories of students who had reached a point of no return. Point of no return meaning that their academic performance had reached such low levels that they were on the almost on the path of being terminated. But once they were enabled through the Department Academic Mentorship Program, they started doing very well on all fronts, not just on the academic front, but also on their personal front as well as on the professional front. Okay, there are two other wings. I just mentioned to you only two wings here, Institute Student Mentor Program and the Department Academic Mentorship Program, both for the undergraduate students. But we also have a Institute Student Companion Program, which is essentially for the master's students. It guides the new entrants into the master's program, that is both the MTech program as well as the MSc program. And we have the Institute Research Scholars Companion Program, the ISCP, which is actually a platform for the research scholars to interact and seek help. It also helps them in their personal as well as in the professional growth. Because many of you belong to institutions where there is probably a small master's program or maybe a small doctoral program, but essentially you probably belong to an institute where you have a large undergraduate program, which is the reason why I'm going to emphasize the activities of the ISMP and the DAMP. But of course, I'm going to also touch upon the activities of ISCP as well as IRSCP. Okay, so now let us look at what is the Student Mentor Program all about, the issues faced by the new entrants, what is Student Mentor Program, why this support system is required, and what are the objectives of the Student Mentor Program. Now coming to the issues faced by the new entrants into the undergraduate program mainly. Well, there are several issues. One, issues related to the academics. Getting used to the academic rigor at IIT Bombay and the stiff competition in the class can be an issue to many of the new entrants into the undergraduate program. The undergraduate students who join IIT Bombay have been toppers in their respective schools and colleges. And when they join IIT Bombay, they find it is difficult to get grades that meet their expectations. The emphasis is on get grades that meet their expectations. Of course, they are getting good grades, maybe satisfactory grades, but that is not what they expect. They expect to get excellent grades, and that becomes difficult because not all students can be toppers in a particular program. Now, other issue related to academics, but of course it's not exactly academics, but related to academics, is managing the innumerable extracurricular activities along with academics. Managing several extracurricular activities along with academics. In fact, we have a 24/7 campus. And of course, it rained yesterday, but during the summer, if you had just taken a round, if you walk around the campus, maybe at midnight, you would have seen that the ground lights are on. You would see students playing cricket, volleyball, football, hockey, tennis, all this taking place at midnight. And in addition to that, you will also see students practicing their music, practicing different activities, both on the ground as well as in the different hostels. So we have a 24/7 campus, several activities going around all through the year. We have social activities, we have sports activities, we have cultural activities, we have technical activities, and these activities taking place at different levels. We have activities taking place at intra-hostel level, that is between the wings, inter-wing level, or between the hostel, that is inter-hostel level, and even between IITs, which is inter-IIT level. So we have several activities taking place, and the issue here is how do you manage all these activities along with academics, and that becomes an issue for many of the new entrants who join the undergraduate program. Second, issues relating to emotional well-being. Now, when we talk about emotional well-being, issue is being able to build relationships of trust with their peers can be an issue. How do you build relationship of trust with your peers? That is your batchmates, your classmates, your hostel mates, your wing mates. How do you build relationship of trust? Being able to overcome feelings of loneliness as well as homesickness and missing loved ones. And being able to make independent decisions for the very first time in their lives. Now, of course, this may seem very trivial, but it is not really that trivial. I remember a few years back, one of the students, undergraduate students, a first-year student, was missing the 8:30 class very consistently. And when he approached his mentor, the mentor suggested that he go and seek help from the counselor. The student then went to the counselor, and the counselor asked him as to why is it that you are missing the 8:30 classes so often. And the student mentioned that there is nobody in the hostel to wake him up. Now, see, our counselors are very professional people. They don't make any judgments. And the counselor just pointed to the the mobile phone and said, well, on your mobile phone you have an alarm clock. You set your alarm clock at night and you should have no difficulty getting up in the morning. But the student said, well, that doesn't help. And the counselor persisted, and the counselor had a long discussion with the student, and what emerged was very interesting. You see, this is a student, here is a student who was in his 11th standard, 12th standard, in his junior college. It was always his mother who was making the decision of what time he should be getting up in the morning, based on how late he slept the night before, and what are the activities scheduled for the next morning. Based on this, it was the mother who was making the decision. So what the student was actually coming and telling the counselor was that there was nobody to wake him up in the morning. What he was trying to say is that there was nobody to make a decision. And he is now called upon to make the decision for the very first time in his life. So this is an issue which is related to emotional well-being. Now let us look at some other issues of the new entrants. Issues related to environmental adjustment. Issues such as managing the transition from a very safe and secure family life to a more demanding and unrestricted life that prevails here on campus, getting used to hostel life in general and a roommate in particular. Now, getting used to a roommate in particular is an issue. In fact, it is not just an issue for the student, it's also sometimes an issue for the parents also. A couple of years back, there was a parent who was arguing with our dean as to why her son has been paired up with another student who has a much lower All India rank than her son. And the dean was trying to explain to her, the parent, saying that All India ranks are simply meant to allow the students to select different streams. But once the selection is over and the students are admitted, there is no hierarchy among the students and all students are equal as far as the institute is concerned. So that can be an issue. Getting used to the hostel and getting used to the roommate in particular can be an issue. Managing the anxiety and the excitement associated with living in a new environment can be an issue. Managing the lows of living in a new environment, managing the highs associated with a new environment can be an issue. Then there are issues related to medium of instruction. The medium of instruction, you see in IIT Bombay, the medium of instruction is English. And there are many students who join IIT Bombay who have had no formal training in English. They have come from vernacular schools and they join IIT Bombay and they find that they are unable to comprehend and unable to communicate effectively. Now, of course, this is not where the problem ends. Now, if this is where the problem ends, well, it's much simpler. Unable to communicate, unable to comprehend, well, that problem is much simpler. But what happens is, because they are unable to comprehend, when they attend the lectures, they find the lectures becoming boring because they are not able to understand. And soon as the semester progresses, the lectures actually turn from boring to lectures becoming unpleasant. And when the lectures become unpleasant, what do? The student stops attending the lectures altogether. And when the student stops attending the lectures, now naturally his performance suffers and he picks up a few fail grades. And when he picks up a few fail grades, naturally his self-confidence takes a beating and his self-esteem also goes down. And this is the worst that can happen. When the self-esteem goes down, just because, not because he is unable to do well, it's just because he is unable to attend, he is unable to understand what is going on in the class. Now, how serious is this problem? A couple of years back, when I was the head of the department, a faculty member who also happens to be the faculty advisor for the first year students. Now, this faculty member came to my cabin and he said, Professor Prabhu, there are 3 students waiting outside. Now, these 3 students who are first year students, they have failed in every single course that they have registered in the first semester. They failed in every single course, and for the past 15 minutes I have been trying to talk to them and to understand as to why is it that they have failed in all the courses that they have registered. And he suggested that I speak to them, and then he left the cabin. So I called these 3 students into my cabin and I asked them to sit down and I asked them, "Kya baat hai?" That's all that I said, "Kya baat hai?" And immediately one student replied, "Sir, hame Angrezi nahi aati hai." So immediately that was very clear to me as to what the problem was. The problem was the issue that is related to the medium of instruction. That is a problem. So these are the different problems faced by our new entrants. So how do we prepare the new entrants? Well, right in the beginning, we make the new entrants aware of the challenges before them. We tell them what are the challenges before them. We tell them that there is no reason to be alarmed. We tell them that several of their senior students have also faced these challenges and they have successfully overcome those challenges. And there is no reason why they also cannot overcome those challenges. So a little bit of mental preparation would help right in the beginning. Of course, at IIT Bombay, we believe that the importance of academics lies in how well it allows a student to develop into a confident individual. That is the importance of academics. And the motto for us in the student mentor program is the following: every student is capable of putting in his or her best. That is what we firmly believe, and that's the motto for our program. Every student is capable of putting in his or her best, and it is important to work with the student to make that happen. That is what we believe in the student mentor program. So again, let's quickly go over what we have just seen. What is student mentor program? It's an academic and a social support system, in particular for all students, in particular for the new entrants. It works towards motivating the students to excel, do well in both academics as well as non-academics, and encourages the students to make the most of their stay here on campus. We tell them, well, right now it may appear that there are 4 years ahead of you or 5 years ahead of you, but soon this time is going to pass. So therefore you have to make the most of your stay here on IIT Bombay, where there are a number of opportunities available to you. Now please note one thing here. This is a program that comes directly under the Dean of Academic Programs. This is not an ad hoc program. This is not a program that is put in place just a week before the new entrants come in. We don't just grab a few students, whoever is on campus, and say, okay, you have been enlisted as mentor. Now you take care of these new entrants. It is not an ad hoc program. It is not even a program that is run by the students' Gymkhana. No, this is a program that is a very well structured program, and it comes directly under the Dean of Student Affairs. And I'll tell you the reasons why it comes under the Dean of Student Affairs a little later as we proceed. So why the support system? Well, students come from varied backgrounds. IIT Bombay, we have students from varied backgrounds, and some require help. Now, of course, here when I say some, it could be one, it could be two, but even one student having difficulty is too many as far as the student mentor program is concerned. So some require help in managing this transition to a more demanding and an unrestricted environment that we have on IIT Bombay, on IIT campus. Some require help in handling the cultural differences, the social differences, the language differences, which exist among the students here on IIT Bombay. Some require help in succeeding in not so familiar semester evaluation system. And this is particularly true for the students getting admitted into a master's program, because many of the students who get admitted into the master's program, they are actually coming from university system where they have not had a semester system. So this is truly meant for them who are not so familiar with the semester evaluation system. Most undergraduate students have been toppers in their respective schools and colleges. In IIT, you are surrounded by many high achievers, and some require help and guidance to succeed in this very stiff, competitive academic environment. Postgraduate students, some who have spent considerable amount of time in the workplace. There are students who join after some 4 years of working in some company, 5 years of working in the company. They join the MTech program. And some of them require help in managing this transition to a demanding and a competitive academic environment that prevails here in IIT Bombay. So what are the objectives of the student mentor program? I go through this very quickly. One, help the new entrants to adjust to the life here on campus. And towards that end, we feel the first semester, the very first semester is important. And if the students have a mentor during the first semester, then it would be of immense help to go through that or to overcome those problems which they face in the first semester. The second objective is to provide a platform for the students to interact with their seniors and to seek help and guidance. A mentor who has been part of this mentor program for a long time, at IIT for some time, can help the new entrants with focused academic inputs. Third is to provide positive role models, and thereby eliminate the effect of wrong influences. The mentors are the ones who can help the new entrants cope with their personal problems and inculcate this right attitude right from the beginning. Now I want to give you some example of this, what is meant by right attitude right from the beginning. Now you see, one of the wrong notions that our students pick up very early is that if they are not good in academics, they have to be very good in something else. This is a wrong notion that they pick up very early. In fact, during the first round of quizzes, they see that after all they come from a college where they have been a topper, and then after the first round of quizzes, they find that they are not really the topper. In fact, their performance is just about satisfactory. Well, immediately they ascribe this to the fact that they did not prepare very well, or to the fact that they were involved in some other activity. Then they say, okay, fine, let me do well in the mid-semester exam. Again, in the mid-semester examination, they find that they are not excelling. They are not getting the grade that they thought that they would get. They are not excelling. So again, there is a little bit of a setback. And then towards the end semester, they realize that, well, the competition in the class is very stiff. They are not really able to top the class. And then somewhere along this first semester, they pick up this idea that if they are not good in academics, they have to be very good in something else. And what is that something else? Well, that something else could be as simple as playing tennis. In fact, we did have a student who decided that, well, he has to excel in playing tennis. He would play tennis in the morning, he would play tennis in the afternoon, he would play tennis in the evening. He wanted to excel in tennis. And what is it that he was doing? He was actually, ignoring academics and playing only tennis. And then we have to tell the students that the real reason why they are here in IIT Bombay is for the academics. And academics has to be a priority for them. Now, how do you impress upon the students that academics is a priority? Of course, our mentors, interact with the students, and all the time, right from the beginning, they thrust this idea, saying that, look, you have to keep academics as your priority. But Professor Gadri has a very simple way of, telling students as to why they should keep academics as a priority. Professor Gadri says, well, associate a number 1 with academics. Associate a number 0 with your sports activities, associate a number 0 with your cultural activities, associate a number 0 with your technical activities. And if you place the number 1 followed by zeros, then your value goes up several times. That is, if you give priority to academics and at the same time do very well in sports, very well in your social activities, very well in your cultural activities, very well in your technical activities, your value goes up several fold. But what is the use of putting 0, 0, 0, 0 and 1? Well, the value still remains 1. What is the use of emphasizing or excelling in sports, cultural activities, technical activities, and ignoring academics and putting that at the end? Well, you're not giving priority to academics. Your value still remains 1. So this is what I mean by impressing upon the students that they should give priority to academics in this institution. So this is another objective of the student mentor program, is to quickly identify the problems of the general student populace and bring them to the notice of authorities, and then to monitor the situation as per instructions. Essentially, what is it that we are doing? We are asking the student mentor program and the mentors in the student mentor program to be the eyes and ears of the institute. So we want the student mentors to be the eyes and this program functions as the eyes and ears of the institute. So these are the 4 objectives of the student mentor program. Now coming to the objective of the department academic mentoring program. Now remember, this is the second wing of the student mentor program, which is actually dealing with undergraduates. The second wing is the department academic mentoring program. What is the objective? To counsel or to mentor academically weak students, and these are senior students, not first year students, second year, third year, fourth year students, and to help the troubled students cope with academics, extra academics, and personal problems. Now you see, the students who are in the department academic mentoring program, these students, it is not just that their academics has gone off track. It is not just that. It is, for these students, it is their routines have gone off track. It is their life which has gone off track. Now what do I mean by that? Several of the students who come under the department academic mentoring program, these are students who one day may get up at 3 in the morning. Another day, they may be getting up at 11 in the morning. One day, they may be having breakfast in the mess. Second day, they may just simply skip the breakfast. One day, they may find that their wingmates are all going for lectures, so they may as well pick up a book and start walking towards the lecture hall. But if they find that all their wingmates have left, then they decide not to attend the classes. They go and sit in the lounge spend their time in the lounge listening to the music. They completely skip the morning session. And similarly, again in the afternoon, if they find somebody going and doing the labs, they may join, otherwise they skip the labs. Evening, well, one day you may find that they are actually jogging around the ground, but the second evening, maybe the next evening, they're probably sitting in the hostel room watching movies on the laptops. So this is these are students whose not just the academics, of course the academics has gone off track, but it is their routines and lives which have gone off track. And when these students who were on the verge of being terminated, when they approached Professor Narayanan had a very simple way of helping these students. Professor Narayanan would give them a small diary and ask the students to make entries in the diary. What time did you get up in the morning? The student had to write in the diary as to what time he got up in the morning, what time he had his breakfast, what time he went for the classes if at all he went, what time he came back, what time he went for the laboratory courses to do his lab, what time he came back in the evening, what did he do in the evening, and then what time he went to bed. So these entries had to be made in the diary, and when they went to meet Professor Narayanan, after all they had gone to Professor Narayanan to seek help, and Professor Narayanan would demand to produce these diaries. Professor Narayanan would look at the diary. Not so much in order to read what is contained in the diary, but he wanted to see as to how meticulously the student has made the entries. Because more meticulously the student has made the entries, it indicated to Professor Narayanan that here is a student who is really making efforts to get out of his difficulties. And it is much easier to help this student get out of his difficulties. Solving academic problems is very easy. What is more difficult is getting them out of these difficulties that they have got into, the off-track problems. The routines going off track, it's more difficult to get them out of that. So the objective of the student mentor program is to help the troubled students. Now it is so easily said, help the troubled students. And well, okay, it looks very nice, so we can write this on a slide. But there is no student who comes with this badge. No student wears a badge that is a troubled student, right? You know that. So we need to identify those troubled students. Either they are troubled or they are likely to get into trouble. We need to identify those students. So what is it that we do? Well, there are some telltale signs that we look out for. The telltale signs as to whether a student has got into trouble or likely to get into trouble is the steep drop in attendance. The alarmingly low marks the student is getting consistently in different subjects. That's also a telltale sign. And most importantly, the withdrawal from social interactions. All our students stay on campus. And it is very easy to identify if a student is not interacting with his wingmates, with his hostel mates. And that is an indication that the student who is withdrawing is an indication that the student feels that he is unable to cope up with his own problems, and he feels that his other batchmates may be looking down on him, which is the reason he may prefer not to interact with other students. So these are some of the telltale signs that we look out for, and the objective here is to help the students to remain focused and motivated towards academics. Encourage the students to attend the classes regularly. That is what our student mentors do. Provide suggestions to maximize the takeaway from different courses. Sometimes it helps. Even no matter how much the instructor tells the student, look, this course is very important for you. If you learn about partial differential equations, learn how to solve partial differential equation, it is going to help you in electric circuits course, or it may help you to learn more about, help you in your vibrations course. Okay, but no matter what the faculty member says, it is not really getting impressed on the students. But if their peers tell them, if some senior student tells them, look, you start taking this course very seriously. If you do this course, you'll find the next course very easy. So they've better learn this something. This is very useful to you. Well, it is then taken more seriously. Okay, so these are the objectives of the Department Academic Mentoring Program. And how do we pursue these objectives? To pursue these objectives, we carefully identify anchors with every student. Every new entrant who comes to the institute, we associate an anchor with that student. Anchors are our senior students, whom we call as the mentors, and of course we charge them with authority to pursue the mission of the student mentor program. Our student mentors, quickly, few characteristics of our student mentors. They're respected, well-balanced senior students. They are good role models. They provide sound advice without any personal bias. Now this is very important. After all, a mentor should not have any personal bias. They should possess the twin qualities of a mentor. The twin qualities of a mentor are empathy and humility. The quality of empathy is required to understand the situation of their mentees and to build a rapport with their mentees. Only if you are able to put yourself in the shoes of your mentees can you see from the eyes of the mentees. So therefore, the quality of empathy is very important. Quality of humility. Humility, the person has to be humble enough so as to not to trust his own values, his own judgments, his own opinions onto his mentee. So the twin qualities of a good mentor are empathy and humility. And they should also be capable of instilling ethics in their mentees, which means we have to be extra cautious when we are selecting mentors for this position. We have to make sure that the person who is actually wants to become a mentor himself has not indulged in any unethical acts. Unethical acts, some of the common unethical acts is copying and all these things. So we want to ensure that the student who has applied for this position of mentor himself has not indulged in any of these unethical acts. They should also have significant achievements in academics and in extracurricular activities. Significant achievements. They should be academically inclined and they should also be capable of pursuing others to be academically inclined. Now you see here, something very important to be noted here. When I say they should have significant achievements in academics, I am not saying that they should be the ones who have got very high CGPA. I am not saying that. I am saying that they should have significant achievements in academics, but they are not necessarily the people with very high CGPA. In fact, a student who has actually failed a couple of courses and then realized what he is getting into and then his fortunes have turned around, he actually may turn out to be a good mentor because he is able to then caution others not to get into the same trouble. So therefore, when we are talking about having significant achievement in academics and co-curricular activities, we are saying that, well, he should be somebody who is academically inclined and who should also be somebody who is able to, inspire others to be also academically inclined. A couple of years ago, I just want to narrate this incident. A couple of years ago, in a TQIP meeting, it was actually a TQIP 2. This is TQIP 3, the third phase. TQIP 2. IIT Bombay was mentoring one of the institutions, and the students and the faculty members of that institution had gathered here, just like a meeting that's being held today. There was another meeting with that particular institute which was being mentored by the IIT Bombay, and I was making this presentation. And after my presentation was over, a senior faculty member got up and said, "Sir, today I know exactly what is wrong with our student mentor program. We too have a student mentor program. In our institution also we have a student mentor program. But we were doing something very wrong. What is it that we were doing? Before the students coming, before the new entrants come, we used to draw up a merit list of the third year student, merit list of the fourth year students. And then say, okay, we need 20 third year students and 40 fourth year students. What do? We count from the top, put a line there after 20th student. Put a line at the end of the 40th student and then say, all these students, they are all mentors, and then we assign them randomly to the different mentees, to the different new entrants. Today I realize, he said, why this is not going to work. It is not going to work because just because somebody has done very well in academics, just because somebody has got a very high CGPA does not necessarily mean that he's a good mentor. Does not necessarily mean he's a good mentor. Because the important qualities of a mentor is that he should have the quality of empathy and he should have the quality of humility. He should have the quality of empathy because he should be able to put himself. Not everybody can put himself in somebody else's shoes, right? A person who is a good mentor is a person who can see from the other person's point of view. A person who is a good mentor is humble enough not to say, this is what you should do. No, that's not going to work. So he should be humble enough to let the person to naturally change his behavior and not thrust something on him. That is not going to work. Okay. So these are some of the qualities of the student mentor program, qualities of the student mentors in the student mentor program. Now coming to the organization of the student mentor program, the ISMP team, the team of Institute Student Mentor Program actually consists of 2 or 3 student mentor coordinators. The 2 or 3 student mentor coordinators, and you were introduced to them just before my presentation. These are actually the final year students with experience and proven expertise. They are ably supported by a cabinet consisting of 6 mentors, 6 senior mentors, and these are the people who are going to help them with the planning and execution of activities in the student mentor program, and they are ably supported by 80 student mentors. 80 student mentors, each mentor mentoring 12 to 14 freshmen, 12 to 14 new entrants into the undergraduate program. So these mentors being selected from the 3rd year, 4th year and the 5th year respectively. So point to be noted here that this is the team of students who are actually mentoring the undergraduate students. Next we have the ISCP team. This is the mentoring program for the new entrants into our master's program. That is the Institute Student Companion program. Now here we have a 2 or 3, depending upon the batch that year, we may have 2 or 3. This year of course we have 3 overall coordinators, and these are students with experience and proven credentials. They are ably supported by department coordinators in every department and in every academic program, and they in turn are supported by 190 student companions, each student mentoring about 7 new entrants in his own department and in his own discipline. So therefore, what is it that we have? We have a team of ISMP and ISCP. Together we have a team of 80 mentors, ISMP mentors, and 190 ISCP companions. So that means we have a very large team. We have a team of 270 students. And these 270 students cover the entire batch of the new entrants, both the undergraduates as well as the master's students. They cover the entire batch. And this is the group with a deep outreach into the community of new entrants. Deep outreach because they are closely involved with the community of new entrants, and therefore we believe that ISMP and ISCP put together, this program has the potential to positively impact an entire batch of new entrants. So that is what we are aiming for, and that is what we feel gratified that we have achieved. Now, how is the Student Mentor Program team organized, and how do we go about selecting the overall coordinators? And what is the kind of interaction that exists between mentors and mentee? We'll take up this after this break, lunch break. So please gather after half an hour's break, and we'll continue with this, and I'll show you many more examples of how we collaborate with the students to meet the institutional objectives.